Misfits 18. As we all remember, an ecstatic event in Newcastle, but I believe Misfits made one mistake. Let's get into it. Now, Misfits 18, main event, Elle Brooke versus Jenny Savage. First of all, Elle Brooke, 100% main event quality. 2024 had the most viewed non-pay-per-view with her and Paige Van Zandt in 015 in Houston, so they were 100% deserved. However, Jenny Savage, random BKFC fighter, the only reason put against Elle was because she's a BKFC fighter and she fought on, I believe, Creator Clash 2 or 1. She fought on Anthony Taylor's Creator Clash, and I think she even fought on the most recent one in Nashville, Tennessee with Divine and Ice and all that. But anyways, the card was good. It promoted the pro tournament with Idris Virgo, Benson Henderson, Fed Batista, Chris Avila, lightweight tournament, which was Lil Craig Gray and Joey Knight. But one fight that was placed, I believe, quite low. It was the Lewis Bowden and George Stokey fight. That fight was vintage influencer boxer and vintage UK culture. George Stokey, one of the biggest football Twitter creators on the platform, very well known in the UK. Lewis Bowden. Now, Lewis Bowden doesn't seem to have socials. He's just a producer, but he produces for Pitch Side. I believe just Pitch Side. He was good friends with Cal Freezy, Reeve, Theo, Chip, all of them. They all came to the event just for him. Those high-level UK names were there just for him. And he was solo on the undercard. That fight was solo on the undercard. And I'm gonna actually just show the crowd reaction for when Lewis and George was fighting and how filled the arena was compared to when the main event fought. Now, I'm just gonna play a couple minutes of this fight and a couple minutes of the main event, and then we'll talk about the similarities and the differences. Just watch.
He's just come back from a holiday with those shorts, but he's still coming through with absolute damage in those fists. Bowden is proper going for it, man.
No variation, just power and overhands from each guy, KSI.
Constant. I mean, Stokey just doesn't know what to do. Stokey does.
All right, now this is the main event. Bear in mind, the key word is main event.
Round 2, Savage is going to be taking a counter-attack approach.
You can see that 2-3 from Jenny, almost connected. 30 seconds gone by, and yeah, these 2-minute rounds, I mean, they are just evaporating.
I mean, the blonde bomber versus Elle Brooke, I love it already.
Do I smell pay-per-view headliner, KSI?
Possibly.
Pay-per-view headliner. Right? I mean, we're not here to be rude. We're here to be realistic. That's why I want to be realistic. Elle Brooke, she has a following, 100%. She does bringing eyes to the sport, especially definitely more eyes in terms of the females that we have in Misfits. To a certain extent, to a certain level. But as you just saw in those 2 clips, the crowd's different. If I were to show that to like random guy or girl on the street, show them those 2 fights, I would say all of them would say the first one would be the main event. Crowd was going, cheering, seemed competitive. I mean, to be honest, Elle Brooke and Jenny Savage was also competitive, but mainly it's the crowd. The crowd is the main crux of what I'm trying to get at. And I don't think it has been undermined when it's come to Misfits, in my opinion. And I think the crowd in the arena is as important as how many people view or watch on the zone. Because the numbers Misfits do, crazy, crazy numbers. But the crowd is different. You want to see a full crowd, a lively crowd, an energetic crowd. That's what you want to see. And especially for the main event. And this crowd, I'll play again.
Possibly. I mean, especially if Al carries on with work like this. This is, oh man, I'm excited to see what combination.
Like, it's there. The crowd's there. Don't get me wrong. There's certain people watching, obviously. I'm not saying she doesn't bring eyes, but as you just saw I'll just go back. We'll go near end of the fight. Just like,
oh my god, this is slow motion fighting.
It's still coming forward.
Oh, I love it.
Gotta give credit to Stokey for the toughness and the pressure. The youngster tried, but in all likelihood, pitch sides, Lewis Bowden.
you can hear the crowd. You can just hear the crowd, man. And I think this has been undermined by, I'll say, just sport in general. I think crowd is important. Crowd brings numbers, and crowd gives a perception to the audience that, oh wow, this company or this match or these people should be reckoned with, or I should watch them the next time, or oh my god, why is there so much of a crowd? Like, so what I've been saying is just Misfits need to be more, I'll say, more smart in what they do and how they market their fights, because you can't be having a silent main event like that. You should, I think Misfits or whoever decides these fights in my opinion, should have been main event, co-main. No, it shouldn't have been that. Like, let's be honest, but it should have been much higher up in the card. I think, to be honest, co-main it, actually. Co-main event that card. Like, make Lewis and George co-main for that card. I think it would have been good. People would have still been in their seats and watched the other card instead of, watching maybe. They probably wouldn't watch the kickoff. They probably watch their fight. And they left. The whole arena left. They went to the pub with Lewis after his win. But yeah, I think another topic which I'll talk about, these BKFC fighters, mainly female BKFC fighters, trying to get into the influencer boxing ring where they don't really have a following. Yes, they have that bare knuckle experience, but they don't really have a following, doesn't get people excited, and they're getting these main event and co-main events on the back of, actual influencers like, Elle, Julie, Carla for that matter. But when you actually have two influencers and people who can bring big eyes that wouldn't normally attend a Misfits event, like, Cal Feezy, Chip, the Fellas team, the pitch side, Reeve, like these people won't become the Misfits often. And so to be able to have to be able to actually bring them to these smaller events to Newcastle, I think it's important. They brought the most eyes to this card out of everyone. Being the UK, being with influencers, bringing big influences to the fight. I think this was a definitely mismarketing opportunity or mismanagement from Misfits Boxing, and hopefully when they do fight again, they actually do deserve to be higher because of their influence. Because at the end of the day, it's influencer boxing. Yes, they're not the greatest, but being in Newcastle, knowing Lewis Bowden is a big Newcastle fan, knowing George Stokey has hundred thousands of followers, millions of impressions per month on Twitter. In my opinion, whoever was placing these guys on the card, maybe should have thought, you know what? Let's place them high. Yes, the skill level isn't there, but that's what influencer boxing is. If we want to watch high skill, we'll go watch pro boxing. We'll go watch pro boxing. You know, like for example, last event, Misfits 20. Apart from Darren Till, the main event, solid. Darren Till and Anthony Chen and Wade. It was Lil T and Afghan Dad. You know, a lot of people who are not into influencer boxing were actually talking about this because of Lil T and Afghan Dad. And I think that was good marketing. I think they marketed the fight around them better, and I think they got the praise and they got the interest. And I think Misfits did market that better by going back to the whole roots of influencer boxing rather than, you know, prioritizing, oh, this guy was on Misfits three times. But outside of Misfits, do they have an audience? Not really. Whereas for obviously the Misfits 18 card, George and Lewis had big audiences outside of Misfits, and they actually could bring those audiences into the venue. So there's a difference, you know. People can have in this scene big audiences, but not many people can bring them over to the Misfits world. You know, I'll make a separate video. I'll talk about Yuddy Gang. You know, I'll briefly tell you, 6.3 million followers on TikTok, but no one's following his boxing journey. You know, you can have all these fans, but there's no point of having these fans if you're not allowed to, if you can't translate them into your fights and be interested in Misfits. Whereas Misfits 18 showed that Lewis Bowden, despite being a producer, just a producer, that's a Joe Works normal 9 to 5. He can be a producer, but still have a fan base, even though if you look numbers wise, it's not as big as your Elbrook, your Julie Pokers, and your Tristan Hands. Can bring a significant amount of people from his fan base to the fight, in the arena, because that's what that matters. In the arena, the atmosphere, and that fight, the atmosphere was electric. The atmosphere was great. People chanting, you know, having a good time. Whereas the main event, crickets. I mean, to put it lightly, crickets. And no disrespect to Al, yes, she deserves the main event. But people say, oh, she's main event. She's main event. If she's main event, she should have brought in the crowd. And clearly that wasn't the case. Clearly Lewis and George were bringing the crowd that night. And for me, you shouldn't be doing that. It's a main event. And yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people sort of glossed over, like, oh yeah, it's a great event. Don't get me wrong, great event, good fights. But people sort of glossed over the impact or the magnitude that fight actually had, and the individuals in that fight. And I don't think they got enough credit or got enough flowers for actually bringing a good audience or bringing the numbers in. Like, that's what surprised me, man. I think, in my opinion, yeah, I think that was the one mistake for the whole card. And I think the co-main, like, yeah, Julie's co-main, but the other girl, like, we don't know who she is. Another random BKFC fighter, we don't know who that is. Why is she in the co-main event? You know, we should at least know them. At least either be Misfits regulars or someone big in the UK or someone big, you know? You shouldn't just be giving main events or co-main events to people, I wouldn't say don't deserve it. Yeah, they're big in their own right, they work hard in their own right, but for their first ever Misfits fight, you shouldn't be just thrown into a co-main or co-main event like that, just because Julie and Elle, they're big, don't get me wrong, but they're not like KSI, they're not Daniel, not Deji, so they can't just fight anyone, people will come. I think they've got to have an equally promising or followed individual for people to want to watch. Like, you know, Mrs. 14, Bobby, and Julie, you know, both equal, I'd say, in skill, in entertainment, both from the Kingpin finals, storyline, you know, great co-main event. And for that, speaking of that, I'll talk about main event now. Salt Papi, Amadeus Ferrari. Great main event. Salt Papi, big in the Misfits scene. Amadeus Ferrari, big following from Poland. big following. And I'm not going to show the clip, but I'm pretty sure, you can check if I'm wrong. If you watch the main event, you can hear some people in the crowd chatting. I think it's like Amadeus. Like, he managed to bring his fans from his Polish background, or Polish fans, into the arena, chanting his name. That's what we want. Full crowd. And I think, yeah, Mrs. 14, great event. I think that in terms of marketing, in terms of picking who, the main event, co-main event, the whole card, beautiful. Just everything was good, but hopefully within the future events, Misfits don't do this anymore. I think, you know, it's, I wouldn't say poor is a bit harsh, but, you know, people should be more aware. The people making these fights, making these decisions, should be aware if they have a star like that, or if they have stars like that. And they did have stars like that, and I think they were put under the card. You know, I would put them co-main. Personally, just for viewership, I'll put them co-main. But yeah, it is what it is. Overall, very successful card. I watched the card, love the card. You know, love the card, love what they're doing. But it's just, I think, overall, the whole point of this video, I think this should have been talked about, but for some reason, it really wasn't. So yeah, that's about it. It's just me just rambling. Thought I'll just share my opinion. Anyways, that's me done, and I'm gonna do something called quote of the video. The quote of the video is, "Don't get angry at the mirror. Fix the reflection." Don't go changing. See you in the next one. Bye bye.